Good to see you, Terrell Owens. What do you think about that?
That disturbs me. Those fans,
get in there.
They should revoke their seats.
Don't you think?
Yeah,
Steph Curry's coming over. It's just
their
like
star player of all people. Like that is the league's MVP, their MVP, their star player, and they just watch him tumble into the stands.
But I guess
who does that?
I don't know. Maybe that's just so surprising that here comes the MVP. They're starstruck.
You can't say that those are loyal fans. And then you see the guy snapping, like what? An opportunity to take a photo at that.
Did somebody really do that? Like he's down on the ground and somebody's not taking a picture?
The guy in the front row is snapping away.
Yeah, look at him.
Yeah,
he has his
like
camera.
got up with his camera.
Look at it.
Oh yeah, now he's shooting like Iguodala.
All the photo ops, like he shouldn't be allowed to get another ticket.
Well, was that a fan or because he's wearing a shirt? Yeah. Or that's not the owner, is it? That's not one of the owners.
That would be worse if it was the owner.
Can't be.
Like they should they should have just created some type of barricade or just a pillow-like situation for their star. You know, Curry, he's been injured, a couple of times. But
already, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, in this situation, you would want to protect your star player. Like you saw the usher there. He made the most attempt to try to grab him.
He did. Right. He was the closest. But the other fans are just like,
they just watched him like, oh, it's Steph Curry. Really? Come on, you're trying to win a second back-to-back NBA championship, and you watching your star player fall into the stands.
He was incredible last night because LeBron was saying about what valuable is, talking about the different meaning and valuable. What do you think LeBron was getting at right there, T.O.?
I don't know. I mean, if you want to create another award for like the best player in the world, planet, maybe he's in conversation for that. But again, he kind of left a lot of things up for interpretation. But in terms of what Steph Curry has done the last 2 years, especially this year, I mean, it's almost a 7-point leap of his points per game average than last year. You cannot say that he's not the most valuable player in this league.
Well, we saw it again last night, and I mentioned that a couple of times.
Absolutely.
Well, and the fact that Thunder's up 1-0, and they have shown some resiliency in this game already. Down 7, just down 7. That's within striking distance easily.
What?
That's when Curry scored 15 in a row.
That's when the MVP showed up.
Correct. That is the meaning of value. If you want to know what's valuable about him, that right there, and the number of times that we've seen them struggle to score points throughout the regular season, and then he just strolls past half court and in between the three-point arc and half court, launches one up and makes it.
Let's go a couple games back. I think it was prior, I don't know, when he comes back, they're down. No, they're down 2 games to 1 or whatever, and he comes back after the knee injury, and he comes in and have a spectacular fourth quarter.
Yeah, he ended that game. They were up 2-1, and that was what essentially ended the series to go up 3-1.
Absolutely. And considering an MCL sprain or whatever the case may have been, I mean, for him to come out and play with that type of performance
on the road,
that right there solidified anything about him being the MVP.
But you know what it is to be a star athlete on a big stage, and hearing others being complimented when you know what your value is.
Absolutely. And
so do you think that some of that was going on with LeBron?
Well, my thing is, I love LeBron. Like, again, he came into the scene. I saw him play his first game in Sacramento. I saw his first dunk. I was right behind the basket when he came into the league. This dude is a phenomenal athlete. For me, I've had this discussion with a number of my friends, a lot of basketball friends. My thing with LeBron, he may as well get ready to share that hill. He's on the top of the hill, but Chef Curry is on that hill, sharing some of that limelight with him. So I mean, I think he can't dispute what he brings to this league and what he's done the last 2 years. I think what we've seen this year is just it's ridiculous, ridiculous.
Right. That's
ridiculous.
That's almost supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
It's ridiculous. I can't even say it myself, but that's how ridiculous it is.
What he's been like this year has been nothing short of whatever that is.
Ridiculous.
But the way the Cavs are playing right now is really lights out. When we come back, I want to talk a little bit more about that. I have to take a 60-second break. And then one of your compatriots in the National Football League, Larry Fitzgerald, had an incredible week. Awesome. What happened with him, I want to talk about that a little bit in our weekly Continental Tire for What You Do segment. That's coming up. Terrell Owens is here in the Rich Eisen Show studio. Back in a minute with T.O.
not signed with them, the Niners. Huh?
Welcome back to the Rich Eisen Show. I've got Terrell Owens right here on the program, here in studio. Every Thursday, we have a segment called Continental Presents for What We Do, Continental Tires for What We Do. And I'm glad that you're here for it, because the subject of this week's Continental Tires Presenting for What We Do, T.O., is Larry Fitzgerald, who went back to school intermittently. You know how Larry likes to travel the world all the time, and the non-playing season, as we football people call it. He promised his mom, Carol, who passed away of breast cancer in 2003, that he would complete his degree. He would continue to go for it. As you know, he left Pittsburgh early. So he would be taking University of Phoenix classes online for the last 13 years, and he finally got his bachelor's degree this weekend.
Hey, 13 years, it doesn't matter the time. He got it. That's all that matters.
And he said, quote unquote, "I'm glad I can finally shake the 15-year college student stigma,"
right.
is what he said. And I wanted to make sure I was doing what I promised her I'd do. He would log in remotely from places like Ethiopia and Brazil, taking University of Phoenix classes year-round. He chose a major in communications and a minor in marketing because he thinks the coursework is going to help him out moving on.
Yeah, I think the most important thing is that he lived up to the promise that he had given his mom. So that's very special.
So we tip the cap to Larry Fitzgerald. For What We Do is brought to you by Continental Tire. You'll see Continental Tire at sporting venues across the United States. They're a proud supporter of IMSA racing, Major League Soccer, and college basketball. Continental's premium products are available at leading independent tire dealers, car dealers, mass retail companies across North America. For more information, visit continentaltire.com. Continental Tire, for what we do. Way to go, Larry Fitzgerald, one of the good guys in the National Football League. Am I on Snapchat right now?
You just made it.
I just made it?
You just made it.
You got your Snap game going on right now.
Absolutely.
So are you going to any of these playoff games?
Yeah, I am. Actually, I met some great friends. I was in Toronto. I was in Montreal for a charity event a couple weeks ago, and then I just flew over to Toronto and met some friends, and they said if they beat the Heat, they'll fly me back up. And
so you're going?
Yes, I'm going to Game 3 on Saturday. To
see the Raptors avoid falling into an 0-3 hole, right?
You know what?
I mean, I know we have to be respectful here, but
right. I'm a basketball fan, so I don't want the Toronto fans to see this and he's not rooting for it. No. But I love basketball. I mean, I know DeMar DeRozan, Kyle Lowry, and those guys. I mean, I'm a basketball fan in general.
I see you? Were you at Kobe's last game?
No, I didn't make it to his last game. I've been there like the couple of games before the last.
Yeah, I saw Kobe walked up to you, and the two of you had a moment.
I mean, we're good friends, and
what would you talk about?
Just things in general. I mean, we talked about the season, his health, and we even had a little chat on the sideline. You know, he was just saying that. You know, I was like, "Is this really it?" He was like, "Man, my knees and ankles." You know,
that was it.
Yeah.
One of the things I didn't understand about Kobe, before we get back into the Raptors and the Cavs and all that stuff, I mean, again, I'm wired differently, and I think he's wired similar to what I was, but changed it. and this is what I mean by that. I'm not the white mamba here. Okay?
I was about to say, are you the white mamba?
I am not the white mamba. But balling up the hate and using that as inspiration, like his farewell Nike commercial. Where he's orchestrating the hate, balling it up, soaking it up, and walking off like that. To me, I took that as it was kind of sad, you know, as opposed to...
Really?
Yeah. I just thought that, wouldn't you want to go off beloved? Wouldn't you want to go off as a beloved figure?
I think he did.
Go that way?
He did. I mean,
here in Los Angeles...
Even with every arena that he went into, Rich,
yes.
This last hurrah, I mean, there was an outpour of love and support for Kobe, what he's done within his career. So I think that was his send-off for a lot of fans that have hated him, despised him throughout his career.
How did you deal with all that stuff?
I just used it as motivation, man. I mean, you know, for a lot of people, we go through different journeys in our life, and they don't know what goes on behind the scenes. And I went through some of that. I mean, I got labeled by some of my teammates that didn't really get to know me on a personal level, that I was standoffish, that I was aloof. I grew up in an environment where under a roof with a grandmother that was very, very strict. You know, I wasn't, so it became socially awkward to interact with people because we weren't allowed to go out of the yard. We weren't allowed to have friends in the yard to interact with. So I was sort of like a product of my environment throughout my career. But the people that knew me and that were around me, I was a fun guy. I mean, that's who I was. I was fun. I was witty, played around and joked. But people that didn't really get that chance to know me, then that's what they told the media. And so that's how the perception of me was like, oh, I was, arrogant. I was standoffish, this and that and the other. But I'm far from that. So. Everybody has, their way of dealing with certain things, and Kobe had his way of dealing it with a lot of great athletes. It's all about how you channel it and how you focus and go out there despite whatever's going on, and you go perform on a high level.
Terrell Owens here on the Rich Eisen Show. So, okay, when you go to Toronto, how in the world is Toronto going to be not down in an 0-2 hole with,
I think
with
tonight,
their mortality facing them in the playoffs?
Well, what I noticed because of the first two series that they played, against Indiana and the Heat, and then when they played Cleveland game 1, LeBron had a field day. I don't think he took a jump shot, but they were a step slower because of the half-court offenses teams that they played. Like in Miami Heat, they walked the ball down. Then they see Cleveland, they're hitting on all cylinders, even though they've had some weeks of rest. They haven't had, the game hasn't gone any further than the 4 games.
Yeah, LeBron played 28 minutes the other night.
Right, and 24 points. What is it, like 11 for 13?
So he's going to be well rested tonight.
Right. So, again, they have to kind of move around, talk on defense, move and pass the basketball. I say, other than that, they were in the game the first maybe quarter or so.
Well, it was 7-0.
And then... Right. Toronto.
They scored the first
so they came out. They came out.
Right.
Aggressive, doing what they wanted to do. But then again, the speed of the game, I think, shocked them, surprised them, because again, they've played, 2 series that have probably gone like 6 and 7 games, where they have played some half-court type of teams, and so it really shocked them at the speed of Tyronn Lue as a head coach. Once he took that job, he saw what they needed, and so you've seen, what has happened. Once he took over and the team, what we're seeing now with LeBron and the Cavs.
So
they're moving.
So who wins the NBA conference finals? Is it going to be Warriors and Cavs? I mean, you got to think the Cavs, no matter how much you think that there may be left in the tank for the Raptors, it's the Cavs, right?
I mean, I think with the Raptors, if they can win a game or two, anything can happen. I mean,
okay,
an injury or 2 away, and then anything can happen.
Injury or 2.
I'm just
hey, that happened to the Cavs last year. Cavs fans don't want to hear that again.
Exactly. They were. I mean, Kevin Love. He was balling out. Then
they
he
haven't
got
lost. They haven't lost a playoff game with Love active.
So I'm just telling you, anything can happen. And you saw the injuries, the rash of the injuries that happened prior to the playoffs. In the playoffs with Chris Paul.
Okay.
Blake Griffin.
That was ridiculous, by the way. Think about what the Clippers that day. That's when they found out that Curry was going to be out for 2 weeks, right?
Again.
And then they thought to themselves, this might be the shot that we have, because
right.
if we take on the Warriors without without Curry, and then instead
and they took 2 shots.
And then that night it was Paul and Blake Griffin, and they fell apart that night.
Right, and I'm not wishing injury on anything,
but
that just shows you how anything can happen. But again, I love basketball. I love the city of Toronto. It's awesome. When I go in that stadium, it's almost like I'm a Raptor. It's like I play basketball. I mean, the outpour of love for T.O. and T.O.
What's your relationship with Drake?
Oh, we're cool.
Okay.
We're cool.
Yeah. Are you Snapchat friends?
No, I used to have his number, then he changed his number. He started making more music, and so he changed his number on me. Drake, what's up with that?
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. So Drake changes his number and doesn't give you the new digits?
No,
you're going to go up. You're going to go up to him game 3 and say what's up with that, right?
No, I saw him All-Star Weekend up in Toronto, so we didn't have a chance to reconnect. But Drake's a great friend of mine.
Game 3, you got to do that.
Yeah.
And you said T.O. and T.O. Did you?
That's right. T.O. is going back to T.O. That's right. You know how it is.
Okay.
But I love basketball. Again, when I go there, I'm torn. Because I like the Raptors, I like Cleveland, I like LeBron, but I'm a basketball fan. I just want people to know that I'm a basketball fan. I don't have a particular team. I just like watching players perform. I have a love, affection for watching Kobe play and what he's done throughout his career. He's definitely one of the top 2 or 3 basketball players that I've ever seen. Now you throw Curry in the mix with what he's doing. He's in my top 5.
And Russell Westbrook and Durant are no slouches either. So why is everybody saying the NBA is watered down? These are some of the greatest players we've seen.
Watered down into what sense? I think if you're looking at the Eastern Conference, the way that's shaken out, because you see LeBron and the Cavs running through through their conference. You know, they're 4-0 in both series.
Maybe that's what it is.
I think that's what they're looking at.
There's the cream of the crop, and then there's everything else. Then there's
right. I mean,
the crop.
There was a surprise with the Spurs and OKC. I mean, they came out and blew OKC out.
Yeah, that was. Can I get you for one more segment?
Yeah, absolutely.
Terrell Owens is here. When we come back, I do want to ask you about a football story that's going on in one of your former towns.
Really?
Philadelphia.
Okay.
That's next here on the Rich Eisen Show.
Oh, okay. Sam Bradford.
Oh. Or not.
Sam Bradford.
The French Open experience on DirecTV is coming to you next week. The 22nd of May is when it begins. The best way to watch this year's French Open is on DirecTV. Enjoy the early rounds of the tournament with 6 full channels of coverage, a mixed channel, and interactive features starting this Sunday on channels 701 through 707. Now, is it Woody Allen music? Is that what it is? Because I know he's big in France.
What happened to the other music?
The French Open experience is compliments of our friends at DirecTV.
There we go.
There will be no Roger Federer, though. He announced today that he's not 100% physically, and he doesn't want to hurt himself any further, potentially, risk any further damage to his body, so he decided not to play in this year's French Open. Terrell Owens wrapping things up with you here.
I like tennis.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay. Who's your tennis guy? Do you have a tennis game?
Andy Roddick was my guy.
Uh-huh.
But I like Roger Federer. I like Nadal. Djokovic he's a beast.
He is no joke. That is no joke.
And Nadal, you know, he's really a right-hander, but he plays lefty.
Look at you.
Yeah.
You're like a regular McEnroe over here.
Yeah, and Serena, I'm looking for her to, make some history.
Well, she's already pretty much done it, but I understand what you're saying. Take down Margaret Court's record of all-time
I want her to crush
Slam.
it. I want her really to crush it like she's doing those tennis balls, crushing it.
What do you make of Sam Bradford's decisions over the last couple of weeks to say that he was unhappy with the Eagles for using all those draft choices to trade up? What are you laughing at me? What are you giving me that look for? What do you think of Bradford?
I already made my comments on it, and I don't really know the guy personally. I know he didn't he go to school in Dallas? Was that it?
Well, you went to Oklahoma originally.
But what high school I meant?
Oh, I'm unfamiliar with his high school.
Well, anyway, I said what I had to say about that, and I just felt like for a guy.
For those who may not have heard it.
Right, for a guy in that position, he's been on a couple of teams. He's had a couple of injuries, which is unfortunate, especially dealing with ACL. I know how that is, and he hasn't really performed up to the expectations and potential of which the teams have drafted him for. So again, to get an opportunity to play for the Eagles, it's an opportunity to prove yourself. Number one, the Eagles haven't really done anything really kind of since I left. So for him to be the quarterback of that team, the leader. And then, understanding that, the team is going to look for the future, being that he's been injured, injury prone. To say that, you're not going to show up or you want to trade, you want out because they're trading for a quarterback, then for me, that, if I'm his teammate, that shows a sign of weakness for me. And that's a guy that you're trying to go to war with, battle with every Sunday. And that's your quarterback. That's my quarterback. You know what I mean? You got to have a guy that's going to stand in there, through thick and thin, to fire everything. And so I just felt like it was, I said it was a cowardly, move to say you want to trade, get out of there just because they're, drafting a quarterback at your position. For me, that would motivate me. You got it. For number one, it questions. And to me, his ability, his own ability.
Some of his teammates have already said that they don't have a problem. Jordan Matthews, in particular.
Of course, they're going to say that. That's the PC answer. But again, internally in that locker room, I'm sure there's a lot of chatters, amongst other guys that probably don't feel the same way. I'm sure if somebody put the camera in your face and ask you, then yeah, you're going to give the right answer.
Like Corey Moore.
They need a guy like that to probably, answer the question to, ask the question to.
Man, Terrell Owens here on the Rich Eisen Show, at Terrell Owens. Let me just quickly take a quick phone call. Stacy in Michigan, you've been hanging on for a while. I've got 30 seconds for you here. What's going on, Stacy? You there?
Hi.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm here. Hi there, Rich Eisen.
You're on with T.O. also.
Yep. Hi, T.O.
Hi, Stacy.
Hi there. I have a team for our friend in Nottingham.
In the UK. Okay, what is it?
Yep.
Who is it?
I think he should go with the Dodgers. And this is my thinking on that,
Sure.
is that, first of all, it encapsulates a lot of the American spirit with the whole Manifest Destiny, Westward Expansion.
Okay.
You know, Wild
I like
Wild
it.
West, all of that.
Very James K.
Then-
Polk of you. Okay, yes.
And then, of course, it has a tie-in because it used to be in New York.
Okay.
So I don't know if an English sport has this equivalent where you can be a storied franchise and then the owner just ups and moves you.
Okay.
So that's interesting. And I think if you're a fan of American sports, sorry, that you should become acquainted with this concept.
Okay.
Because
I
when
like
you're a fan,
it.
you got to love your team because you don't know when they're going to leave.
Stacy, thank you for the call. I think we should continue this tomorrow because we have not unearthed a baseball team for our friend in the UK. Do you have a baseball team?
Nah, not really.
Okay. And you don't have a basketball team, you just love basketball.
Yeah, I'm a fan of players, and
Okay.
I like to watch their progression, their development. You know what I mean?
Thanks for coming on. I just love it when you come on and just kick it.
Absolutely. That was a long 30 seconds. That was almost like your 40 time. Rich.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.